Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope. This is where you get to hear how to feel happy, balanced, and worthwhile. How to make that lonely ache vanish and feel empowered, confident, and secure. I'm Lauren Abrams, and I get to help you feel that magic again since going through my own dark night of the soul by chatting with incredible leaders, healers, and elders who give us their message of hope after overcoming challenges of their own. Today, we're talking to the beautiful Buddhist spiritual leader, Spring Washam. Spring's a well-known meditation teacher, author, and visionary leader. She's the author of A Fierce Heart, Finding Strength, Courage, and Wisdom in Any Moment. She grew up in a violent neighborhood raised by a single parent. She was introduced to Buddhism and its message of mindfulness, and her life unfolded. And today, she spreads the message of living in the present as a meditation and dharma teacher at Woodacre Spirit Rock Meditation Center, as well as teaching meditation retreats, workshops, and classes worldwide. She's here discussing today how you can overcome stress, fear, and anxiety, how to practice self-forgiveness, and how to help you discover your life purpose and make your own inner calling come true. She also answers some basic questions that you may have from time to time to help you on your spiritual path. I'm so honored to have her here with us today. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Spring Washam.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. First, can you, I do kind of want to get into like how you escaped your upbringing and you just happened into like this meditation retreat and how your calling found you, which is what I believe happens to so many of us. Can you describe what you do as a Dharmic teacher?
Yeah. Okay. So I can describe more of what I do now as a Dharma.
Yeah.
I'll go back a little bit in time. Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we do now pre-COVID, obviously, and I still do a lot of it, was we lead retreats primarily at Spirit Rock Meditation Center, where I'm on the Teachers Council, and we teach meditation, mindfulness, MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, and Vipassana, which are all the same words of saying insight meditation. And so I, for many years, led retreats for anywhere between 5 to 10 days. And they're really beautiful in silence, held on the land. And then also I started a center with a group of other teachers in downtown Oakland, where we were teaching all kinds of insight meditation, compassion, mindfulness classes for many years. So I had a hub between downtown Oakland and then out in the beautiful hills outside San Francisco at a residential center. And so what we did was we really taught a lot of Buddhist-based philosophy, psychology, the teachings of wisdom and compassion, emotional intelligence, how to just be with what's happening and deal with our crazy, stressed out minds and work with our emotions skillfully and open the heart and learn how to be in the body. So all the things that are very popular right now have been happening there on that land for over 20 years, more really. And so yeah, that's kind of what I do. And I write about it and I teach about it and I practice it. More importantly, as a Dharma teacher, always practicing. And it's been an interesting journey. So that's kind of like my role. And I'm also do other things in there, a little shamanism, the writing books, it's kind of like a big plate, but that's generally what we try to do, is just help people learn how to be present with an open heart and wisdom.
Yeah, part of my daily morning practice is to have an open heart and an open mind. That's in its simplest form.
Yeah,
as part of my meditation. I don't think my friends are sick of me, but anyway, that is part of my morning mantra. And how did you start out in this?
Yeah, so I grew up in East Long Beach, and it was all this chaos right on the Compton border. And, it was kind of like that classic, it was almost archetypal, like against the odds, and the mom who can't deal with children and the father who leaves and there's no money. And, it was like all these hindrances and obstacles and difficulties, right? And I honestly just look at it as such a profound teaching. Yeah, it breaks one's heart to experience that. But what happened when I was a teenager, I actually had to move out of my mother's house. She married a very violent partner at some stage. And so as I was sort of going out onto my own and living with friends and family members and different things, I got very interested in psychology. The first step was, it was kind of like the New Thought movement captured me. And I remember I was 16, 17 going to Agape in a church in LA. For those of you who are in Los Angeles, the spiritual center, Reverend Michael Beckwith. I got really involved in that, just trying to understand my mind. It's funny. I always knew there was something wrong with my thinking and the way other people were thinking. I was like, there's something our thinking, we have problems with our thinking, so as really young, rather you just call it this, innate sense of your path and your dharma already. I was very drawn early to living a spiritually based life. I resonated. So I read, and then it led me as I got older to studying meditation in a Hindu tradition. And then I fell upon insight meditation and just showed up out of the blue and ended up meeting Jack Kornfield, a Buddhist-based teacher. And it all opened from there. It's like I found what I was looking for, and I just entered that path and never really got off of that.
It's so interesting because one of my trips to Bali, I met a 17-year-old, and her senior year, she lived with me and my kids, my family. I thought, oh, she's going to be such a good, my kids, it's all going to rub off on them, but it doesn't, if that's your ilk, I can't think of the right verbiage at the moment, but then that's who and what you are.
Yeah, I've never been able to rub off on my mother.
Yeah.
It feels like whatever,
no.
It's been years. So I realize it's just innate in the person's heart. You just have this knowing of who you are, but you have to work through everything to kind of get it.
Yeah.
Come into full balance and walk your path, with all the extra traumas and all the things that happen along the way have just become kind of, they're the rocks in the path that we climb, and they do give us a sense of resiliency.
Yeah, you get there when you get there.
You get there when you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I ask the questions because a lot of people have never heard these terms, but they want to know, and they're seeking, and they have there's so much sense of dis-ease, just uncomfortability, and knowing there's more, but not knowing what it is or how to get there and what to do right now. So what would you tell somebody going through that?
Yeah, I think, the last couple of years, everybody's had their dark night of the soul moment. If you hadn't, it may be coming. I don't think anyone's getting out of this without just a little bit of the death rebirth, because it's just that time. It's in our astrology, it's in the culture, it's in the, and I think that it's, if someone's entering into that period where nothing's working out and there's deep dissatisfaction and anxiety and stress and unhappiness, that I really consider those moments doorways. I always say our unhappiness is a heavenly messenger. Don't miss it, right? Because when things aren't working, or it means that the road that we're on isn't really the right path. It's a pivot moment, right? Where we find higher ground. So the dis-ease, the uncomfortability, a lot of people in those moments, they seek a spiritual practice. Often out of a complete hell realm, we go, okay, I'm going to do, it's like a 12-step rock bottom is the awaken moment. It's like, okay, I can't get any worse than this. I got to get a different way of looking at this. I got to take a different approach here. So I think that that's really it, that the dis-ease is really, it's a cosmic dis-ease. Dissatisfaction, it's like that's the heart of the Buddha's message, like this deep dissatisfaction, because we know there's more. And so we just start to slowly walk the path, start to work with our emotions, right? We start to become more conscious. So don't be afraid. I always tell my students in Oakland, I used to say this all the time, don't shut down the breakdown. Something's trying to unravel. We gotta, when they say when you're falling, dive, we got to learn how to dive into it. Now that is where the practices come in. How do we do that without, crashing and burning? That's where all the mindfulness and having a daily practice and reflecting gives us the strength and the tools to dive without hitting, the concrete.
I always tell people, okay, I was taught that feelings peak for 5 minutes. So I think for me, it's like, I want to get through it. So I can do that. 5 minutes I can do. So I want to lean in and get to the other side. So yeah, that exactly. Helps me if it's delineated. I don't know.
Well, it gives you a capacity to open just for those 5 minutes. Once you do
Right.
it for 5 minutes, you could do it for 10,
Right.
right? You're like,
Yep.
okay, well, I survived. It's that initial shock of like, I have to feel this. And then if you say just 5 minutes, like, okay. And
Yeah.
it tricks your mind into becoming more comfortable feeling difficult things.
Yeah. And there's no choice. The only way
No
through
choice.
is through.
I think that's a really wise point is that we don't really have a choice when we wake up in the morning. If there's anger rises or we just have to work with it skillfully. Sometimes these energies just bubble up. Nobody plans on having a dark night of the soul. They're planning the opposite, the best year of my life. Nobody sets out for that. So it just happens. It's just causes and conditions.
Yeah. And well, the Woodacre Spirit Rock Meditation Center. I mean, that's the place with all the woods and right? It just looks so phenomenal there. How did you find that? Or is that it found you again? Or
Well, it was about over 23, 24 years ago. It was in the process of being built. I went to a retreat led by the Spirit Rock Meditation community. And at that time, the land was still being built out. They were still building. They're almost finished with the temple and, the meditation center, that the room that can fit like 150 people, 200 people. And so when I first met the founder, Jack Cornfield, I was like, okay, great. So I moved close by. I was living in Los Angeles. I was like, okay. And I started studying there. That became a place where I had like a school, and then I would do retreats, and I started doing trainings there. And the land, and people who want to look up spiritrock.org, it's just like one of these beautiful pieces of property, like 500 acres in mountains, and it's a place where you go and you do mostly silent residential retreat where you learn the art of practice, sitting and walking. So it's just a beautiful place to check out for those who are interested in doing a residential meditation retreat where it's a little more focused internal.
And people that haven't done silent retreats, the thought of uninterrupted silence, what do you tell them?
Well, I always laugh about that part because that's the thing that a lot of people feel afraid of. So even though you take a vow of silence, there's Dharma teachings happening and instructions, and then the mind is always so talkative. It's like it's never quiet in one's mind. There's always a narrator going on 24/7. And actually, the thing about it is that a lot of people felt they were terrified, and then that became the place, the practice where they found the most joy because they didn't have to perform. They didn't have to be anyone. They could let go of sort of this outer role and then just be, they didn't have to take care of anyone. They could just be in their experience. Right. And they found that the silence, although, initially a shock, was this and tremendous joy. And some were sad when they had to go back to talking. Others were ready, it's just where you are. So of course we get afraid of doing anything we've never done, especially if it's psychological or spiritual. We project, well, what could go wrong? Or, but mostly people had a lovely experience. It was something unique to do that.
Yeah, I was just flashing on a rabbi was telling me his first time at first whenever he was going in the bathroom and he wanted to say, oh no, you first, and not being able to say that.
Yeah.
Or, washing hands at a communal place, or, there were certain times when it took a while to get used to just things like that.
Yeah.
And then it got easier. Yeah.
You start dancing with each other and you're bowing, you're smiling, you're
Absolutely.
just not,
You tell, I don't remember if I was reading it in your book or maybe it was one of your teachings about being in India. This is when you were much younger. And seeing people just doing in prayer for very long periods of time with all your friends. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Bulgaria.
Yeah. And do you want to talk about that and just the feelings that came over you? And then you were really, and then your friends just start going, spring.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, like a fierce heart. Yeah, I tell the story about going to India on pilgrimage, and we went to Bodh Gaya, where
Yeah.
it's kind of like the Buddha stupa and the Bodhi tree, and it's like this
Yes.
big park. And I decided to offer 1,000 prostrations. Yeah, which are kind of like
Yeah,
sun
this is it.
salutations
Yeah,
for all
yeah.
the yogis out there, but they're a little harder in a way. Well, no, they're like a sun salutation, but you're going all the way down and you press your head and it came over me because out at this place in Bodh Gaya, there's all these Tibetan practitioners, really Buddhists from all over the world, the Zen nuns, and then you have all these Tibetan practitioners, and I think of it like a spiritual, I don't know, it was like a spiritual fair or something, but people were there every day. And Tibetans love to do prostrations in front of the Bodhi tree, and they take refuge and they do it. So I was seeing hundreds of people, and I would see women in their 80s, these Tibetan women, and they would have their beads and their malas and they'd be praying. And it was so beautiful that I thought, well, they say it's a great purification. Here I am at the Bodhi temple making prayers to become enlightened, and heal all beings and be great bodhisattva. So I did go out there, and it's harder than it looks. I thought, oh, this is so easy, but after a couple hours, I was like, oh my gosh. So over the course of a couple of days, and it was fun as my friends were circumambulating the park. There's kind of like a walkway around, and there's a park in the middle with a tree in it. So it's a really big area. And so every time they were walking by, they would see me prostrating and they would say, "Go Springers." And they were funny. It was just funny because I was having these very profound moments, and then I would hear them being like, "Go girl,"
Yeah.
it would just break me out like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm having my sacred moment here.
Yeah. Kind of like there's the buzzkill, the spiritual kill or something, like.
But then it was so funny later, becomes all part of it, to not take yourself too seriously.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you're prostrating and here they are, and it's all connected.
I kind of like that ghost springers. And it's a good reminder. You're not alone. You got friends.
Exactly.
Community. Yeah.
And they would say when I'd be really hot and tired. So
So great. Do you have a morning routine? Do you have a practice that you do every morning?
yeah, usually I try to get up and I try to have a sense of finding stillness. Lately, my practice has really involved being outside and sitting outside and walking outside and just finding that stillness, So in the morning, I'll do a short practice, and then I like to do a little bit more in the afternoon. I'll do like a walking and a movement, So sometimes mornings is hard for me because I tend to jump right into the stream. Right now, ideally it's so great to have a morning practice. I mean, I just want to encourage people. But lately my rhythm has been more of like an afternoon and later in the day it's like a pause moment and a reset, almost like I let go and then start again, like mid-afternoon, early evening.
I found myself having an accountability partner for the morning meditation. And I gave myself permission to do 10 minutes first thing in the morning, I'll say. But so not pick up my phone, not do anything, and just do a 10-minute. And I started doing that. And it's just been so good for me to make sure I do that.
Oh, I love morning practices. I absolutely think it's the joy. I think every few months, you sort of find a different rhythm with timing.
With little kids, then it was really an issue when they were little to find that being able to meditate again. It was really difficult. I mean, it just ebbs and flows. And I wonder, why do people have such a hard time meditating? To me, I equate it to exercise. The two things that make me feel the best are meditation and exercise. Yet, why wouldn't I just be going at it all the time with both?
Yeah, well, some people are, they have a passion for it. There's definitely a movement. But for a lot of people, it's just so outside of their, to sit quietly and follow the breath. They might have religious feelings about it, or they might just have, they don't understand that sometimes it's a practice that you learn. They imagine you sit down and you feel peace and immediately, there's a lot of kind of misunderstandings about what it is and how it helps. And, we're so mentally, our culture goes so fast that the pause, it's very hard for people to know how to do that. We're very just like a little bit frenetic, our energy, we go. So the idea of turning off is hard at first for people. And so it's not for some people that grow up where that's not a value, they're going against a lot of kind of programming that they already have. Like, no, I just go. I don't stop, and feel.
So how do you explain to people what the benefit is?
Well, I only really talk to people about the benefits who are genuinely curious. I'm not sort of like a meditation teacher out on the corner trying to make people slow down and be. People hate that, I remember I used to do that with my family. And then I remember a wise teacher said, Spring, you don't have to go around trying, just be a Buddha inside. Just that's all that anyone wants to do. So yeah, when people, I often tell people that the practice itself is an art. It's a training. If you haven't been to the gym your whole life and you go in there and try to lift 50 pounds in 5 minutes of walking in, you're going to hurt yourself probably. You're not going to feel right. So like all things, mindfulness and the developing of mindfulness is like a muscle. It's learning more and more. It's an art to meditation. It's not just instant, instant meditation. No, it's a dance that you're doing and you're learning what it means to be in my body. What does that really mean? Wow. Okay. What does it mean to sit and feel? So I think for people, they need to start out and be patient, which is not a word that people like. Right? This is like, you got to look at like the Zen master's path. You got to, people want instant results, but you can immediately see a difference within a few weeks of practice, but you have to give it that, give it a 30-day period where you practice, and you have to be comfortable working with energies. The two main energies that come are sleepiness and its cousin, restlessness. Or brother, sister, whatever, however you want to refer to it. You have to be comfortable managing energies. 1 minute you're falling asleep, the next minute you want to scream and get up, the next minute you're falling, and so you're learning energy, you're learning how to be. And it's for people who are interested, because it sounds so simple, but the effects are so profound.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the mysterious part. How does this help so much? It's like, oh my gosh. So you have to try it for yourself, for people who are really interested,
Absolutely. How long do you recommend when someone starts? How long would you say they should start? 5 minutes, 10?
Yeah, anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, I think is really great, because, a lot of times people are using apps, which I think are really great in the beginning, Calm app or Insight Timer or 10% Happier. All of these are just, apps designed that are easy to help you get in the unplug. The hardest thing about meditation is actually putting your phone down and sitting on your cushion.
Yeah, right.
That's the hardest thing to do, is just to stop, actually. Yeah. Most time when people sit down and they start to feel, they might actually enjoy it more than they realize, right? They might sit longer. But I would aim at for very beginners. And even if you've been practicing for a long time, you might need like a reboot, 10 to 15 minutes practice, put away all your phone stuff, computer, find a place that's quiet if you can. Not everyone can. And you just begin to sit and just feel your breath, feel your body. It's utterly simple, but it's complex because, our minds get involved. So it seems really hard, but actually you're doing something very simple. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have challenge to it.
Right. The best thing I was ever told was you can't do it wrong.
It's impossible. And people always think they're doing it wrong because they have this idea in their head. And that's why I say, okay, first let's get rid of the idea of whatever you believe that should happen or what it could be like. And we just meet the mind where it is. If we're sad, we open to sad. If we're bored, we open to boredom. If we feel lonely, we open to loneliness. If we're afraid, we feel fear. It's about moving through. It's not about trying to escape. And that's a big shift that starts to happen over time.
Yeah, absolutely. The benefits are amazing. That's all I can, I mean,
it's hard to, it's mental health. It's a difference between the quality of our mind, our mental space gets better. And everyone lives here, pretty much. We have our physical house, but we live here. And it's like, well, is there graffiti and old beer cans and cigarette butts everywhere in there? Or are we like, is our mental space like, meditation? Another teacher, I just recently posted this online. Meditation is like going to the beauty parlor for the inside.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that's the only way I can really describe it. But, we can point, but everyone has to, if you're interested, experiment.
Now, when you get stuck and have roadblocks, do you have people you follow? What do you do when you're having a hard time?
When I'm having a hard time, there's always people that I find inspirational. I think, I'm really lucky because I have so many different types of teachers. If I'm blocked in one area, I go to this person. There's not really one teacher who fits all. If I'm blocked in my energy body, I go to this person. If I'm blocked with my writing, I go to this person. If I'm blocked with my teaching, I go to this person. If my meditation is just falling apart, I go to my main meditation teacher. So I'm lucky because I have a whole community that I can kind of reference and be like, okay, well, this, it's kind of like, and that's ideal, is to have a support system. You wouldn't really ask your therapist about your yoga practice. You'd probably go to your yoga teacher, and your therapist, you might work with them in a specific area. So I feel like I have all these great people that I can pull on, and I'm always utilizing them. I don't think I ever get, I'm always a student too. I'm with everyone in the journey here.
Yeah.
I never feel like I've reached a level where I can say, okay, I'm done. And now I'm going to sit here,
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I'm writing this started as a book and it was my quest. This was all about my quest. And it was so rich that I was like, I have to share this. So I did
exactly.
And it's turned into a podcast, which I just love. And if I can help people along the way, that's the point.
I mean, that's why we do these things. It's like, because in a way we're all interconnected. So what's healing you is healing us and vice versa. Yeah. And I love when our passion becomes, the purpose, and then other people are affected in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about. Serve.
Yeah. Have you seen your relationships change after COVID?
I have. I think COVID has done a lot of things. The people that I was close to, I'm closer. The people I dearly loved, the bonds grew. The people that I maybe had a more distant relationship with, it seems like that also grew. Like, there was like the separation between, it was like a line in the sand or something, and then the appreciation for seeing the gifts and just appreciating my wise community on a whole nother level. I mean, just gratitude for the beauty of my friendships and my spiritual community. I mean, in the Buddhist tradition, one of the jewels is a word that's called Sangha, which translates as beloved community. And you take refuge in your spiritual friendships. Actually, your friendships can pull you through a lot of dark times. It's medicine in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Friendships, intimacy, closeness.
Oh, definitely. We need community. How do you spell Sangha?
Sangha is Sangha. And that word is a Pali word, and it translates as beloved community. In the Buddhist tradition, we take refuge in Buddha, which is our awakened nature, the Dharma, which is the path, the teachings, mindfulness, meditation. And then the third jewel is Sangha. And so for me, I've really taken refuge in that third jewel, just how we can really support each other, and I just, so my relationships got much more depth to them.
Oh, that's beautiful. I really love that. And well, in the blue zones where people live the longest, it's because of community. That
I
is,
doubt that.
when I say live the longest, live the longest and the healthiest.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to live long if without a quality of life. That's right.
Yeah,
I
not
wouldn't. I wouldn't at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have a message of hope that you would want to give?
Yeah, I guess I would say that for people who are coming on, who, as we mentioned at the beginning, who are feeling like the bottom's falling out, like I don't know what I'm doing or what's happening, because so many people are in this reboot. Maybe they lost their job and they don't even want to go back to what they were doing, right? There's such I think, a shift for so many people coming through this deep questioning. So I would really encourage people to the word hope, which I love, your 52 weeks of hope, is really about faith. Faith that you will arrive at the destination and that everything is really happening for us to move to, a higher place, right? To move to who we really are. And I like to use the word faith, but I know that means a lot of different things to a lot of people, but it means a faith that there's an intelligence that's moving us forward, no matter how bleak it looks now, no matter how many obstacles, money, no relationship, wherever we are. It's just to have faith that and to trust that there is a higher intelligence that is orchestrating our life. And that, that's one thing I definitely learned from Harriet Tubman. Man, she had some serious faith all the time. I was like, I got a real definition of that, actually. Like, no matter what the obstacle is, you can keep trusting and keep in deep prayer and praying to whoever, Panchamama, God, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Wonkin Tonkin, divine creator, the universe, whatever energy that you call, to trust in the deep process of faith and prayer. We pray to the wisdom of what is guiding our life to keep guiding me. And I think there's something really powerful about prayers right now. I feel like they're being heard for people. And so for those who are just where the bottom's falling out, and I know that feeling, faith that it will change, faith and praying, calling on your ancestors, calling on, all the great beings and the divine mother, and to hold that as a way to help you move forward. There's a lot of power in that. So I would offer that. That just comes now. That's what I do.
Yeah, that was amazing. And how about somebody that's just struggling to get out of bed? I don't mean clinical depression, but that malaise where I don't feel like getting out of bed today. Do you have something you'd say to that person?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people have that feeling because it feels like nothing is different. It feels like there's this huge stuckness, or there's a boulder on the track. Sometimes you have to fight when you're in that state, right? To find gratitude. What do I have? Gratitude's a game changer.
Absolutely.
It's a game changer. We go from what we hate to what actually is great. And to do a gratitude practice, then if you can't get out of bed, then grab a pen and paper and write 5 things in your moment that you are grateful for, even if it's just, your Honey Nut Cheerios in the kitchen or whatever you have, or your bed that you can lie on that's, there, or, you just start with gratitude.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been doing gratitude lists that I exchanged for over a decade daily.
Oh my God. Gratitude, it really shifts you from suffering to that's all going to work out. Look, I have so much.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a light bulb on, and start looking at, again, our mental world here switches, into a different mindset, and we attract goodness when we're grateful. We attract more of what we want, actually.
Oh, definitely. It changes the frequency.
Complete frequency change. Reboot. Immediate.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to talking to you, and it was beyond my, what I was hoping. So thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope.
Oh, thank you so much, Lauren. This was really fun.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and take with you Spring's messages of connection, expansiveness, and love. Such wonderful messages to take into your week ahead. Be sure to tune in next week when writer, astrologer, and intuitive guide Natha Campanella joins us. Have you been hoping for some emotional relief and wondering what's been going on with you, what you really need? Natha understands and uses her intuitive guidance astrology and blends modalities, giving you healing you desperately crave. Natha's a world-renowned professional astrologer giving voice to the things blocking you. Get the wisdom to better understand yourself next week and heal those parts needing relief. You get to distinguish your own unique gifts. That's next week, and she's amazing. You are going to love her and love me for bringing her on here. I'd love to hear what you liked on this week's episode. Just DM me or tag me on social media or go to the website at 52weeksofhope.com and send me a message there. If you're driving or something like that, I've made it easy for you. You could just text 52, the number 52 HOPE to 66866. That's 52, the number 52 HOPE to 66866. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts because that helps expand the audience. It's really appreciated. Be sure to tell 2 of your friends about the podcast. I'm Lauren Abrams. Thanks for listening.